So I want to go ahead and welcome Isaac. He was actually one of my first students when I started taking the business a little bit serious. But Isaac is going to, we're just going to have a casual conversation. He was able to attract three different offer letters, one for $200 an hour, which is a contract position, one for $161,000, and then the other one for 240 total comp. That was Visa, correct?
Yeah, that was a busy one.
Okay, okay, cool. So yeah, man, we just want to have a casual conversation about your experience, and just go from there. So you can go ahead and introduce yourself, and then your background, and then yeah, we can go from there.
Yeah. So I'm Isaac. Been in Taos mentorship for Holiday Town. And yeah, so my background is software engineering, and I actually worked at AWS, and then I got let go from that. And then, from there I kind of decided like, hey, I kind of want to, do task sports and then transition into cloud.
Okay, and I want to be as super authentic as possible on this call, right? Because Isaac joined the program last February. And I remember that because that's when I started charging and making this a business. He was the first person that paid. And this is not like an ordinary testimonial. So it's been what, a year and 3 months or 4 months, a year and three
Yeah,
months.
to like, so yeah, probably better than stuff.
And I really want to talk about this because Isaac was the only person that was not seeing results. He was still getting interviews using my system. Excuse me. And let's talk about that real quick. So like, um, how do you feel like do you feel like it was easier like actually getting interviews using my system? Like was recruit
Yeah, I definitely think it was easier. I mean, granted, I didn't apply like too much like before, but like I knew like how I had my LinkedIn set up and my resume I would use it before, and that was when I first got like, oh, like give it before I did your thing. I sent out like maybe I don't know 100 already, and I didn't they didn't get any bites, and then as soon as I started using the resume title told me to, I started getting some more results. And then, later on, especially with like some more optimization stuff that we did, like I was definitely getting, results in terms of like interviews and stuff and getting people hitting me up on LinkedIn.
And so do you feel like it was because this is specific, I don't want to speak details of the system like what I use for the thing, what to do with it. But do you feel like it's because the reason why I'm asking this is because a lot of people, they reach out to me and they went through a program and they're like, I can't even get an interview. I can't even get a hiring manager on the phone, because they're just applying their jobs. And so, yeah, I just want to talk about like, you feel like it was easier having the system, and do you feel like
Yeah,
you wasn't struggling that much to get interviews?
yeah. I was able to get interviews like pretty consistently. It was like maybe like dry spells here and there with interviews, but that could just be like hiring cycles and stuff like that. But like overall, like I was probably doing it like on average, like a new interview. If it if you include like screening calls and like actual interviews, like I was probably doing like one or two a week, like on average.
Okay. Okay. And then what 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 was the thing that like wanted you to work with us? Like hop on a call with us and talk about like us helping.
Yeah, so I mean, we kind of met through like a mutual mentor, and I he knew about my situation, and then I would just join with that mentorship that was kind of saying, what you did, and he was like, "Yo, y'all should talk." And then Tyler was telling me a little bit more about like, "Hey, I'm working these like three jobs that I work like 3 hours a day or 40 minutes a day or something crazy like that." And I was like, "Hold on." At AWS, like, but like the last couple of months, I was probably working like 60+ hour weeks. This man talking about he's making 2, 3 times what I was making, working a couple of minutes a day. That don't add up. So I need to know more.
Okay. All right. And so I want to ask, did you so when you heard that at the first, were you like, this guy's bullshitting? or are you like, that kind of makes sense because you kind of know the field, you know, cloud engineer, you know, like the nature of the job. Like, what did you think, honestly speaking?
No, I was like, it's there's no way. Like, if keep it down, I still don't really believe it. Like, what I have to see? Like, you been so keep it.
Okay, are you going to experience it? And so, like I said, remember there are jobs where, okay, for instance, if I was working at Netflix and there was a cloud engineer L3 position for $350,000, I know for a fact as a cloud engineer at a FANG company, they're going to work my ass off.
They don't work you.
But yeah, but when the jobs that I go for is really, I've been getting government jobs, and even the nature of government, super sweet, super sweet. One of the
Yeah, because government like they kind of move pretty slow, right? So
super slow, and then even to get access for certain, it's. I remember one time, one of my students, Jinjo, he was like, "Bro, like I'm still getting access. I haven't done anything. I'm just on the meetings," and he's 2 months in, and he hasn't done no work. Right, so, and in the meetings, you already know how stand-ups are. They're not even crazy, and so government typically does move slower. I haven't really worked in cloud in the private sector, which is non-government jobs. Um, I've worked in private sector with help desk and stuff like that. But I just, and even that wasn't crazy. But going back to the point, I want to bring it back. So what was the state of your career before, like, you started working with this?
yeah. So I mean, yeah, I was sophomore year with the rest, but like at that point, like I didn't have a job at that point, so I was like, hey, I need to get a job.
Okay. And then, so you trying to, do it on your own. How was that like in terms of trying to get a job? Like, were you getting interviews? Were you, like, just, you can explain that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't really get any news before that, but in fairness, I had only been going at it for maybe a week or two before I joined Title Stuff.
Okay. Okay. And then what do you think, like, what was the biggest challenge you faced in your career? Like, just with this whole process of trying to get a job?
So just trying to look at it. It was, I guess, in a way, it kind of, well, like twofold. So like one, with like Fang interviews, at least for software engineering specifically, there's kind of like a defined process. So like I kind of know what to expect. But like with like I guess like any company, I don't know as much what to expect. So there's less of like, oh, I can like specifically prepare for this specific interview with this company. You kind of just need to know what you're supposed to know, I guess. And if they ask you something that you don't know, you just, hey, I don't know it. But at the same time, that also makes it easier in a way in that like if there's something that they ask you that you don't know, that doesn't necessarily mean that,
Yep.
they're gonna knock you for that.
Okay. Okay. I'm about to pull this quote, and you can't see it, but I'm gonna just read it out to you. But it says, "Software engineers got to be the only career where the interview is harder than the actual job." How do you feel about that? You feel like you're
No, yeah, that's about right.
And so how do you feel about cloud engineer jobs compared to software engineer jobs?
I mean, I haven't, done the oh yeah, but in terms of like interview process wise, I definitely do think it's a bit better just because like I feel like with software development, like at the more senior levels at least, they kind of want you to be a jack of all trades. Like they want you to know cloud engineering stuff as well. Like I've been asked like stuff specifically about like AWS for like software engineering stuff. Like maybe not specifically like, hey, this is the AWS service, but at the very least, I'm expected to know all the cloud concepts, like messaging queues, like virtual machine, like all that stuff, right? Whereas like the cloud is like you know, uh, I feel like it's kind of more specific. Like, yeah, maybe there's like some stuff here and there where like they may want you to know for like their company, but it's not as like I don't feel like they want you to be as much of a jack of all trades.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And so, excuse me, what did success look like to you going into the program? So like before going into it, w- what what did success look like to you?
I mean, straight up, yeah. I was like, hey, I just want to get a job, ideally a six-figure job, and ideally making more than I was making at Amazon. But at that point, I wasn't sure if that was possible because when I was at Amazon, I towards the end, I actually did kind of want to leave, but I kind of had like the golden handcuffs in that like I didn't see myself at the current level I was, at least being able to make that amount of money anywhere else. Like it would have been significantly less. So like when I worked at one company before Amazon, and basically like total compensation wise, they basically doubled my salary moving to Amazon. And I'm like, okay, and like what I had was like, pretty good for like an entry level thing. So I'm thinking, okay, like with my level of experience, like, and like years in the industry, like, sure, I could definitely command more than I did, the 2 years prior, but I'm not going to command, 160.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean. Okay. And so just to be clear, how much were you making at Amazon as a software engineer?
Yeah. So base salary was 129, but then I also had a signing bonus, and then that signing bonus was like split up into 2 years. So the first year they just gave it to me up front, and then that second year it was like in installments. So basically it boosted, and that was the first one was 27K up front, and then the other one was like 30K ish split up. So basically like per month, it I was basically like W-2 making like the 160. And then I also had some stock as well. So Amazon does it a little differently than a lot of companies in that they backload theirs.
Real quick, with the with Amazon. So actually, let's take it a step back. Um, in terms of what success looked like to you, which is keep it very simple for you getting a job, and then how did we help you achieve that success?
So there's a board like you have to, which basically like has like all the information that you need to, be proficient like at cloud engineering. But beyond that, there are other like tools and resources that he gives you when it comes to being able to get interviews consistently and then also being able to pass interviews. And then also there are like weekly calls as well that you can join and like ask him questions and stuff. And like his line's also like open. He's a little bit more busy now, but like generally his line's open. If you want to hit him up and ask him something. And he also has like a client success manager as well, where you can hit him up at any time. So it's pretty much just like 27, 24/7 support, plus coaching calls, plus, like, there were like other calls that they do where they work on like projects like hands on as well. So you can ask questions there as well. So pretty much just like a lot of like guided support alongside like the information that's been given.
And then some people might say, "Hey, you know, this person's a software engineer at Amazon. He has experience in IT. He has a degree too. You have a degree too as well, right?" And so you have experience. You have a degree. Do you have any certifications? I don't think so. No. Okay. What would you say to them? What would you say to someone who doesn't have a degree, doesn't have experience, doesn't have any certifications? What would you tell them? And do you think like it's possible for them to be successful? And you can talk about so.
Yeah. So yeah, and Somi is literally who I was gonna bring up. Like he joined later than me and he got a job faster than me. And he had none of the advantages I had. He didn't have any tech experience. He didn't have a degree. He didn't have certs. And he was able to land a job, faster than I was able to land a jobs.
You're probably looking at him like, what the hell? Okay. And so in terms of the process, like, do you feel like if someone is actually serious, like they want to make a change in their life, they're ready to make a change, um, and do you feel like there's any excuse, there's anything, absolutely anything that they won't be successful? Because some people might say, "Oh, I don't have the experience." Some people say, "Oh, that's you got lucky." So, like, what would you say to someone who's serious? ready to take action, ready to change in terms of, do you feel like it's possible for them to be successful too?
No, definitely. But I think it's like you have to go in with that, like, hey, I'm gonna do whatever it takes, and I'm not gonna give up. Like, because like it may happen sooner than you think, but it also may take longer than you think. So you have to have like that mindset of like, I'm gonna keep going at this until I get it. But also like, make sure that you're always just improving your knowledge and stuff like that. Like I, in terms of like it taking longer for me to a degree, like it actually helped in that like I was able to like boost my knowledge, even like kind of be on the program because I was just like trying to get better and better and better. So,
Okay. And so it ranges, right? So for you, you joined last February, so that's like a year, 21 months. And you didn't do anything. Well, there was improvement, like with the interviews and networking calls that we did towards the end. I actually wish we did that earlier, but it's still fine. You still got the job. But someone like you like you're actually the longest student, right? As opposed to someone like Greg, he had 2 offer letters in a month and 21 days. And then a month later, he got 3 more offer letters. So it's anywhere from like $600,000-700,000 in offer letters. Working mobile jobs and working remote on all of them too. And so the reason why I say that is because the program can range from something as close to, I haven't seen anybody else hit a month and 21 days. That's the fastest time. All the way to a year and et cetera, et cetera. Now I'm not saying um all my students are takes that long. You're actually the only student. But typically it's around anywhere from like 2 to 4 months, whereas let's say 2 to 5 months, where I see people seeing success. Um, but going back, um, like, what do you think the next 12 months looks like for you? Oh no, past. Oh yeah, even before that. So let's talk about your offers. So tell me when, like, the first offer letter, the second offer letter, the third offer letter, like, oh, I got this job. I'm making this from this. So sorry about your offer letters. And then what?
Yeah. So the first one, it's the contract to hire role, and that one is 77.50 an hour, and annually that's going to be like 161K. And funny enough, it was originally going to be 70 an hour. And then once I told them that I had this other offer, and I just, I wanted, and I wasn't even trying to negotiate. I was just like, hey, can I just have a little, because like they wanted me to start immediately, pretty much. And I was like, hey, can I just have like a little bit of time to just like think about it? Because I did get this other offer. I don't want to just wait. And then my crew was like, oh, okay. And then she was like, hey, my VP wants to talk to you. And then he on the phone, he basically like, yeah, so they're like a number that we can to make it like a no break. Now I was like he was like, I was hoping he would have said 75, but like we can I'll meet you in the middle of 77.50. How does that sound? And then like, basically like I ended up going with that. And it's crazy because when I first met with the recruiter, like before we did like the whole interview process, they told me that their range was $50 an hour to 7.
They lie. They lie. They got the money to. If I've been told by people on the inside, number one, if they really need someone or if they really like someone, they can expand the budget. So if they're like, Mo, we don't want to go through another, there's no qualified candidates, and you say, hey, like, you could have got 80, to be honest with you. If you would have told them no, I'm good. Like, more than likely, if they don't have any other candidates, they would have called you back and be like, yeah, we can do 80. Yeah, like, dude, they have the money. They're just trying to save as much money, lower the overhead. But continue.
Right, right. And then okay, so the other offer which came in like on that same day actually was from Visa, and that was a software engineering role, and base salary was 180, but then there was also like some stock and some cash bonuses and stuff. So altogether it would have been around 240.
240. So I'm adding it on my computer. So we have 240, and then we have 161
Yeah.
$1,000. So in one day, you were able to get $401,000. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy to think about. But yeah.
Is that verifiable? Do you have like offer letters like that we can
Yeah.
verify?
Yeah. I'll put it in the slab.
Okay. Okay. Let me actually open it on my end. Uh, let's see. Let's see. So I'm going to share. I'm going to share the screen. See, let's go ahead and verify this. So let's see. No, dang, people get in office. Okay, people get in office. All right. So I've never heard of this before. Okay. So this is the one. Okay. 861 May 19th. So you starting tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow's our first day.
Okay. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. So 161. Okay. And then oh, Visa. You were okay. So for 180. Okay. You said 240. It says 180.
Yeah, so the base is 180, but then like there's a sign-on bonus. There's also like a cash annual bonus, and then there's also like stock as well. So like when I did all the math, when I did the math, it was like it could on average it could like 240. If I hit like all the incentives and targets or whatever, it could do like 250, 260. But
I got you. Yeah, 27,000, 15,000. I'm just kind of 25%. Okay. How's the benefits?
yeah, pretty good benefits. So they had uh I can't remember off the top of my head like all the benefits
But they do have
that they had.
benefits.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The other one I don't think has it because it's originally contract.
Yeah, yeah, contracts. They don't
Yeah.
okay. I see Tyrone said, let me hold it. Did you actually give him $1? No, just playing. And then you got another offer for 200. Okay. The freelance.
Yeah, so yeah. This one's a very interesting development.
Okay. And so for the $200 an hour, I just want to see and add this all up. Um,
Yeah. But I mean it's only okay, so the thing is it's only for a month, but they said that they might extend it if like they like the results.
okay. So it's based off your performance.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let's just look at it for the month. For the month, that is, and let's just say you do 40 hours and etc. Or that's 30. So let me actually pull this to the side. So I did $200 an hour a month. That's 34 because you're not gonna get taxed because it's freelance. You're gonna do your own taxes, and I show you how to do that. Just put 30% to the side. That's what I do. But for the month, it's $34,000. Let's say, yeah, let's round down. Let's say $34,000 on top of. Let's go back here. Let's go to the calculator. This is the jobs, the 401, and I'm just seeing what was generated through this. And so I'm going to have this 401 per month. So that's 33. So I'm just going to add 34 and 33. Well, that's 67,000 dollars in a month in terms of what was generated, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
And so how do you feel?
Yeah, it's crazy because yeah, I'd actually put into ChatGPT. I was like, hey, with these three offer letters, like let's just say hypothetically I could work on full time. Like, what would that look like? And it was like that'd be like 817,000. And I was like,
Yeah, it's crazy, huh? Yeah, and so do you feel like you confidently have this skill? Like if you wanted to, you can get another offer letter. Do you feel like you really have to worry about money either?
yeah. So in terms of like having the skill, like I'm pretty confident having the skill. There is like a little bit of the PTSD of like I am still worried about getting another job. But like that's kind of that thing where it's like, you know.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And so in terms of like your next 12 months, what does your next 12 months look like for you?
Yeah, so that's interesting. So yeah, so with this job, definitely like try to go in and go hard and make sure that like in that 6 months, like they definitely want to renew me. And then at the same time, potentially look like like if I weigh the workload and the workload is like pretty chill, then I may try to get another job that's remote. And I actually have recruiters who are hitting me up like for the big jobs already. Oh, and then I might still look into doing like these more of these like marker contracts. I don't know if they're all gonna be $200 an hour. Probably not, but I may look into that because I'm also doing a business on the side, and that this can essentially count as business income. So
Yep. Okay. And $200, if you were to get that for the whole year, that's 416,000, which is insane. The one job, barely half a million. Okay. And then knowing what you know now, if you were to do it all over again, like what would you do differently?
yeah, uh, I'll say big thing was like, so one thing that I guess I did early on, which I guess looking back on it was like, okay, I shouldn't have did that, was like I tried to like speed rush the course. And I kinda did. Like I think I finished like I went through like all the courses, like through all the info and all the projects in I don't know, like a month or two,
Mhm.
maybe less. Maybe, yeah, probably about like a month, maybe a month or some change. And I think like maybe if I like slow down a little bit and just like make sure like, hey, I understood like every single piece that was going on. And, I, especially now that there are the tech challenges too, cause like I joined when it was like a little earlier. Uh, so then I could actually go through the tech challenges. So like if I were to join today, knowing what I know now, I would say, and I was actually telling somebody, I was talking to Rodrigo about this, and I was like, I would say get very comfortable with the AWS services. You don't have to know every single service because you can't know every single service. There's just too many. But if you know the general concepts like virtualization, listening queues, containerization, like, and the different services that,
The pretty much the stuff I teach in
yeah,
the program.
right, right. So if you like understand like those general concepts, CI/CD, etc., understand those, and then do the tech challenges, but do the tech challenges as if you were actually working at a company. So do it with all the engineering best practices. Do it with documenting everything as you go, and after that, then I'd go and make a document, and then basically be like my interview cheat sheet of like, hey, like this is what I did and this is why it is significant. Because that's the big thing as well, is that you can just do the projects and it's fine and it's whatever, but like when it comes to the interview, you have to explain to them why that project is actually significant.
Like what was the results and how does that impact the company as a whole? Which is something I teach you at the interview process, right?
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Funny enough, so I made a LinkedIn post about one of the tech challenges, the Hippo one, and that one's like is low key going a little viral.
For real?
Yeah, I think I think yesterday I checked at like 15K impressions. Today I checked it's like 17K impressions, and like I've had a couple people hit me up like, hey, can I see the GitHub?
That's hilarious. I didn't even notice. Dang. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. That's funny. Damn, I need to start doing that. Okay, nice, nice, nice. Um, and so what was your favorite part of the program?
Yeah. I'll say definitely my favorite part is the like ongoing support. Like it's not just the, oh, here's the courses and info, you're on your own, but it's like you you have like that ongoing support that's like keeping you accountable and stuff. Cause like there was a point where like I was standing there like shit, I might just like, give up for now because I'm like, I feel like I'm doing everything I was supposed to do and I'm still not getting anything, but it was still on me and I was like, okay, I can't give up on this because he's not giving up on me. So
Yep. Yep. Like that's the honestly, and I tell all my students before even anyone joins. Number one, I don't just accept anybody. Um, I just accept people that's really serious. But you know, that's the thing that I look for is if this is something someone truly wants. Because if it's something that they want, regardless, they don't give up. They better get the results. Hence, you as an example. And so yeah, as long as you don't give up on yourself, I'm not gonna give up. And I want every single student in my community to be successful. But I can't do that if, they don't even try. Right. So
But
um okay. So for anyone trying to achieve a similar level of success as yourself, what's one thing they should avoid?
you should avoid. Um, hmm. I would say, um, I guess the say I think it's maybe like going on interviews like before you're ready. Like obviously if they made you up, like going at it, like made you up on LinkedIn or whatever. But definitely like go through the course and like fully understand stuff. Yeah, cause I do remember there was one interview I did, which was like pretty early on. And actually, one of my friends was there. He's sophomore year, and then they were asking me some stuff, and I was like, kind of like struggling to get through it. And then there were a lot of kind of really be more into it. And I was basically just like, and it's like because I was a software engineer already, I was like, I already have a lot of the high level knowledge, so I can like kind of just skip through this. Like, I don't need to go too deep into all this. And then like I remember like one day they asked me, it was about Kubernetes. They're asking me more about it, and I was like, I basically had to be like, yeah, like I didn't really like build everything out. Like I just knew how to like use it, which like in my workplace was true, but it's like, yeah. So like, yeah, I already knew. But like I got
Yeah.
dubbed on that one.
When it comes to Kubernetes, like in the work, and so anyone listening, you probably even don't know what it is, which is fine. But um, typically in the work area, workspace environment, like they're already gonna have that built out. And you just either deploy Helm charts to your Kubernetes cluster, or you just use it, or you monitor it, whatever the case may be. And so like I've been on an interview similar when it was just straight Kubernetes, and it looks like they wanted a senior level Kubernetes expert. That's a good element, just because that's we we don't like that's kind of for you to know Kubernetes. That's like a whole different ball. It's a whole different beast. It's a whole different program. As I know, but um, but yeah. So that's normal. But in terms of so, do you feel like you jumped the gun too early? Like you like because I know you said you mentioned that you rushed through the course and you went on interviews. Do you feel like if you would have just took your time, like let's just say someone is listening to this video on YouTube, wherever it's at, and they're like, "What do I need to do to be successful at the quickest time?" What would you tell them?
Yeah. So I would say
Like step by step.
yeah. So step by step is like one, like go through, all the like in the course, like go through all the info on like the different like parts of cloud engineering, right? So like containerization, CI/CD, which is like each part, and like make sure that you actually fully understand it. And now we have our great friend ChatGPT, which gets better every day. So you can literally ask it like, "Hey, explain this to me." Okay, make sure I understand. I mean, you have to prompt it well, but like you can be like, "Hey, like quiz me on this. Like, make sure that I like fully understand." Because like, yeah, because certain like it took me a little while to like fully understand Kubernetes. Like I was like, okay, it's demands containers, but like I didn't like fully understand it. So it was like each time that came up in the interview and they wanted to go like deeper into it, I was like, fuck. Um, but yeah, so like make sure like in terms of like at least what's on the course, like you don't have that like obvious weak spot. Um, and then when it comes to going to like more hands-on in-depth stuff, do like do the tech challenges and do them the way you would try to do it at work.
Okay. And so let's say so if there's anybody watching this video like that's on the fence about joining the program, what would you tell them?
Yeah. So I would say like, hey, let's say, you're in a situation where like you want to improve your income, right? And you're making, I don't know, 50K a year, right? I'm not sure how else you can get from like 50 to 150 in like, let's say a year, right? And like, as you said, I was one of the longer ones and it took me a year, 3 months.
And you had more
Like,
experience. Yeah, you had experience in tech already. You worked at Amazon, which is kind of insane. Like you had those credentials, but it still took you longer. And even someone who didn't have any experience, degree, certs was able to see the results quicker. But just want to point that out in terms of if someone still has that notion in their belief system, like, oh, you have this. So going back, continue going for you said
yeah,
50 to 150.
yeah, yeah. So, because it's funny enough, I was actually talking to Tyrone about this, and basically he was saying like, there's no like in today's like in 2025, there's no point in going to college like at all. And I was like, well, there's still like some like I don't think it's like NLB, but I was still like, hey, if you want to do like engineering, whatever, like I still like it's assuming you're not running your own business, right? Engineering, whatever, like college is still big. And he was like, well, I mean, look at tile stuff. People are getting $6 figure without going to college outside. And I was like, that's actually like a good point. Oh, like I believe there's a guy in the board who's like doing computer science, right? Like he'd major in computer science.
Yeah, yeah. He's
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's like he's basically about to graduate as a senior engineer.
Well, yo,
He about to graduate into a senior role. Like that's insane to me.
I started making $21 an hour as a IT technician, and it's look the if you think about it, like the income, not even me, but even my students are making, it's like doctor salary. Like, okay, let's just say the freelance job for 200K that goes out the window. Like, even the offer letters that you generated, just the two jobs, right? That's $401,000 a year. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT right now, what is the average doctor making per year, and how long does it take them to get there? So the average doctor, I'm not even talking about debt because they get into a lot of debt, right? So the average physician, I can't even pronounce right now. The overall average physician, can't pronounce, I'm struggling, but it says earns an average salary of approximately $352,000, encompassing both primary care and specialists. So on the higher end, so it says 352, but then it says the top earning specialties, right? Orthopedic surgery, 557,000 per year. Plastic surgery, 576 annually, and cardiology, 490,000 per year. It says the journey to become a fully licensed physician, got it, in the US typically spans 11 to 16 years. 4 years of bachelor's degree, 4 years of medical school. That's if you don't fail a class. This is just pass everything. 3 to 7 years of residency training, depending on your choosing specialty, and then fellowship, which is optional for 1 to 3 years for subspecialization. So I'm going to say how much debt or what's the cost average. So not only that you're making more, to be honest, I make more than that. I'm not gonna say how much. People would be crazy online. But so my main point is you can make more. That's number one. You can make more than a doctor. It didn't take you 11 to 16 years. Okay. The cost, it says 340 to 300 so that's before residency. So $340,000 to 480,000, the total amount average before residency. Most med students graduate with over $200,000 in debt, sometimes more depending on loans, interest, and cost of living. And so it takes 11 to 16 years. The cost is 350 to 500 total before earning a full salary. And most doctors start their careers with significant loans, which can take 10 to 20 years to pay off, depending on income and lifestyle. So if you're comparing, so this is it, comparing it to,
Yeah, you didn't even factor in how it worked.
that's true. Because we be chilling now. And you're going to, so so even though I know it's hard to believe, but you are going to expect, so if you call Jinjo, he'll tell you. If you call Palumi,
Yeah.
if you call Darnell, if you call, like any of the students that got the offer letters and that's working, right? And they'll let you know. They'll like, I'll be chilling. Like, don't get it wrong. When there's stuff to do, you work, right? If you're on a project, you work, right? But you're not working every day, especially, utilizing your brain, everything that I teach in the programs to be more efficient, right? You're going to be able to deliver the deliverables faster. You're going to be on top of your game when you're actually working these jobs. I show you how to maintain these jobs, how to excel at these jobs, and how to not kill yourself working 8 hours, right? I don't for the nature of our job, you should not be working. It's super sweet. I'm not gonna say too much, but it doesn't make any sense because there's nothing like this out there, and there's not a lot of people. There's other programs teaching this stuff. I'm not the only one, but I just for me it wasn't just like out there. Like I actually accidentally fell into this, and so
Yeah.
how do you feel about like the difference, of like in terms of doctor and cloud engineer? I don't know why I did the air quotes.
Yeah. So me,
Yeah, how do you feel about the difference? Like,
yeah, I mean, no, definitely. Like that's one of the reasons why, like, I decided not to. Well, I mean, like when I was, cause that's how you go into engineering, like younger. But like, like reiterated, like, yeah, that was a good decision. Like, cause it's like, yeah, doctors make a lot of money, but like, look at all the stuff they have to go through, and like, it's normal for them to work 80-hour weeks. Like, it's not they're not making that money working a standard 9 to 5.
yeah, yeah, they're
So
they working a lot. um, okay. And so, do you know like any other like opportunity where you can make this amount of money, work this amount of hours per week, and actually obtain this income in a short amount of time compared to other like occupations?
N- No, like unless you were to start your own business, and then even then, like that's work, like so.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know. Maybe if you're a girl, you can do OnlyFans stuff. I don't know. I did that only be.
yeah. Yeah, end up selling feet pics or something like that. Ain't no shade, but I mean, th- I'm super like one of the reasons why I'm doing this and I'm super passionate about teaching is because I know how it feels to be on the other end. You're about to feel that once you get your first check, and it's insane. Like it doesn't make any sense. I always say it's like playing GTA and you put in the cheat code, you got all the guns. Like in terms of like hitting this income, with the time that you do, the time that you spend actually acquiring this income, going to this program, or it doesn't even have to be this program. It could be other programs. But even with other programs, they do not teach you the second aspect, the second skill, which is like how to easily get interviews, how to position yourself as one of the top candidates. Like I've joined 2 programs and none of them has that part. I got my degree, they didn't teach that part, and I was still struggling to get. I have people in my program that came from other programs. It's like, hey, like they just told me to apply for jobs. Like I can't get an interview, that's the same problem I had, which is why I built that second portion. So um, I'm not gonna drag this too long. That's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. But once again, like if there's anybody listening to this that's like on the fence about joining, like should I join? Why should I? Like, what would you tell your past self being in a situation that you were in and you're on the fence of joining? Like, what would you tell them, knowing what you know now, experiencing what you're experiencing right now?
Yeah. I I guess I leave it like, hey, like the time's gonna go by regardless, year or whatever, it's gonna go by, like whether you use that to work on this or not. And then when it comes to ROI, like even for me taking like this long, there's still, especially like if you're someone where you're like you don't have a technique on anything already, like the ROI you're gonna get off of like dedicating yourself for a year, right? And I'm just saying the year because that's how long it took me. Whereas like there are a bunch of other people where it took them less, right? But it's like even assuming the year, it's like I don't see any other thing where you can lock yourself in for a year and then you come out making six figures.
High six figures too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Do you have anything you want to say, or just you could say no, but just absolutely anything?
Uh, yeah, yeah, not that I think of. I think yeah, more or less like covered like everything. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. So once again, thanks for joining. I really want to like honestly, I just wanted to capture your experience, and really just have a casual conversation in terms of like your process, how you felt about the program, etc. So, thanks for joining. And if anyone's watching this, if you want to talk to Isaac, well, I don't know if you want to share that information. Um, yeah, if someone's serious about joining and want to
Yeah.
ask some questions, I'll probably make the connection if Isaac wants to. Um, but yeah, once again, just thanks for joining, man.
Not for sure.